Hi, I'm going to show you what we're going to be doing this week. It's going to be a little different. You're going to be taking well, let me go ahead and I'll just show you right here. So the final week schedule, next week, you're going to take your final exams. And we're going to be reviewing this week for your final exam. Today, we're going to do a Cahoots video in class. Now, that's only for my first and third periods. Second period, we're going to do something different. We're going to do the Cahoots game on next Monday for my second period. Yes, because you test on a different time. So today we're going to do the Cahoots for first and third period. Wednesday through Friday, you're going to do asynchronous learning. That means you're going to be working asynchronously. What that means is you're going to be working on your own. Your teacher's not going to be available. Download your review sheet and take notes every day. So every day, Wednesday, whichever days you have, most of you are, I think you're all pretty much Wednesday and Thursday. Make sure you work on your assignments. To get attendance, you need to every day, every class day, you need to watch the video and resubmit your review. The changes you've made that day, resubmit your review. It should be where you can submit it more than once. And also answer the exit question. Do not just answer the exit question. Resubmit your assignment and enter the exit question. Okay, so download your review sheets if you have not done so yet. I'll give you a second. You can pause it if you need to, but you should be able to download the review sheets in the assignment, and the assignment is the section that has the little pencil where it says review. Okay, now let's get started. So the first thing we're going to study is the Civil War amendments. That's the first thing we studied when we first started the course. After the Civil War, there were changes that were made to help African Americans in the South. So the 13th Amendment did this. It abolished slavery. So you're going to write down what's in red. I'm kind of walking you through it because I want to make sure that you get the right review in your hands before we take the test. The 14th Amendment guaranteed equal citizenship rights to everyone, regardless of race. So everyone, whatever their race, regardless of their race, had equal citizenship rights. And that's the stuff that we studied when we studied the Bill of Rights, equal protections under law, the right to remain silent, the right to a jury, the freedom from search and seizure, all that kind of stuff. You have the same rights to own property, all that kind of stuff. And the 15th Amendment was guaranteed that males cannot be denied the right to vote based on race. So remember, women are still a ways off. Women are still not able to vote for about another 50 years before women get the right to vote. So these are three very important amendments, particularly for civil rights for African Americans after the Civil War. So you're going to write this down, and you can pause if you need to. Now, as we studied, these were great amendments and they were terrific reforms, but this is not what really happened. Particularly in the South, they found ways to keep pretty much almost all of these from happening. So we're going to look at that in a little while. First off, we're going to move out west. We studied one of the last things. Well, a couple of weeks ago, we studied the Wild West and the settlers out west. So, first question is, how did settlers on the Great Plains build houses? So, how did they go about building their houses? What did they make their houses out of? So, first off, they cut their houses from sod. And you remember when we were studying it, sod is that topsoil. It's that top part that has grass and dirt. And they would cut that up in little squares and they'd stack it together to make a house, just like in the picture right there. That must have not been a very nice place to live. You know, they had snakes and insects and not nice. Okay, so that's what they did. Now, why did they do that? This is usually where I wait for the answer from the students, but we're doing this asynchronously. So hopefully you remember, and by the way, this is the Great Plains, that's where they lived. They did not have any wood or other timber or any materials on the Great Plains. There's no way to make bricks. There were no stones really. It's mostly grassland and lots of it. It's flat plains. So they did not have any wood or anything else to build houses out of. So make sure you write all of that. Again, I put your answer in red just to kind of help out because I know we're going over this real quickly. Okay, let's look at the next section. Now, the same period in the late 1800s, it's called the Gilded Age, there were a lot of changes going on, a lot of things were happening. And we're going to look at some of the inventions. I had you each do a project, but we never really had time to look at the individual projects. So we're going to look at the specific inventions from that time. One of them was the telephone. That's Alexander Graham Bell. That's the man who invented the telephone. He was actually worked with the blind, and he developed this, or with the deaf, and he developed this telephone, and it completely revolutionized communication, obviously. Now, it wasn't like our phones today. You didn't have smartphones, but still you were able to communicate over long distances instantaneously. The next one is the typewriter. The typewriter revolutionized printing. Before, you had these little printing blocks. You'd have to lay them out on this big spreadsheet, and then you'd put a big sheet and you go like this. Now you can type things instantaneously. And that impacts us directly because think about it, you're typing right now on a typewriter. It's a word processor, a computer, but the keyboard is exactly the same as Christopher Scholl's designed. Electric light bulb. This revolutionized everything too. Now businesses could stay open longer. Factories could stay open for hours longer than they ever had before. And people had safe lighting in their homes. They no longer had to use kerosene. Another invention was this one. See if you know what this is. It doesn't look like that anymore. In fact, a lot of people don't even use these anymore. This is a phonograph, or what we called it when I was in high school, a record player. You had a disc that you could put with a needle, and the needle would play the disc and the grooves on the disc, and sound would come out. So that's the first time people were able to hear recorded music at home, and it must have been a real thrill. Another thing was motion pictures. This is another thing that Thomas Edison, the guy who invented the light bulb, invented the motion picture camera, projector, the whole thing. And the last thing we studied was this. Was not the last thing that happened, but the last thing on our list is this. You may or may not remember this. We saw a video about it, I think, in most of our classes. This involved Andrew Carnegie. This is the Bessemer process. And the Bessemer process was a quick, easy way to turn iron into steel. You put iron into this, heat it up, shoot air up through the bottom, and you could all the impurities that made it a bad metal would float off the top, or you'd scoop them off the top, or they'd blast out of the top, and then you had nice quality steel that you could produce bridges and buildings and all kinds of stuff out of. Okay, we're going to do a couple more and then we're going to be done for the day, and I'm going to leave the rest for you to do later. So we'll do a couple more answers. Who benefited from the Homestead Act? No, we studied the Homestead Act, and that's a law that was passed by Congress to help settle the Wild West. So the people who had helped were settlers on the western frontier. These are people who moved out west, wanted to start homes, wanted to become ranchers. So these were settlers on the western frontier who wanted to claim farmland as their own, and they did. It was a really good deal. You could go out west and get 160 acres of free land. All you had to do was just build something on it and pay a small fine. What a deal. Of course, the land they were giving away belonged to Native Americans. It wasn't really their land. Another issue, the major issue concern of organized labor in the 19th century. So these are problems that workers had in the 19th century, the late 1800s. And improved working conditions. They needed to have a better condition for, sometimes it was not well lit or it was dangerous. Um, I doubt if they ever had air conditioning or even fans a lot of the time. Better wages. They did not get paid very well in factories. Those were easy jobs, easy to learn. And so they did not generally make a whole lot of money doing these things. Shorter working hours. That's what they wanted. And that's what labor unions tried to organize to get these things. We're going to do one more answer and then we'll finish for the day. And I'll let you do the rest over the rest of the week. But the effects of urbanization in the Gilded Age were overcrowded slums. These were very, very crowded areas of town during this period of time. So overcrowded slums, they were unsanitary conditions, not a very good place or way to live in the big cities during the Gilded Age. Remember we talked about it. I even showed you I even showed you this how there were that it was Gilded Age because it was not really there was a lot of wealth and a lot of great fortunes and a lot of inventions and a lot of good stuff going on, but there was an enormous amount of poverty, crushing poverty, especially in the cities. Okay, we're going to stop there for now. So just continue on Wednesday and Thursday. Just continue on like this. Go ahead and submit your assignment. I'll take a look at what you've got, and then we will be you'll be good for the day. After you submit your assignment, be sure and answer the exit ticket. Thanks a lot.